Okay, so today I am doing a catch-up vlog talking everything that's been going on since the 19th of November 2023 through to the 6th of January. Yep, 6th of January 2024. The reason why I haven't done a vlog in such a long time is because I dedicate the entire month of December to my favorites and non-favorites of the year. I started my favorites and non-favorites earlier this year, so I suspended my vlogs. So whenever I suspend vlogs for a little while, I will always catch up on exactly what you've missed. Being mindful that I have obviously done monthly wraps. There's not a lot to discuss book-wise, but I'll certainly go over some highlights. I'll also talk about other things that have been going on in my life, etc, etc, etc. But we are going to start by talking about, well, the present, because I need to. I've just come off finishing my very first book of 2023, and that is this book, Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer. According to Goodreads, this is an adult. It's a young adult. I think it's adult, so that's why I got it in my head. But according to Goodreads, it's a young adult fantasy paranormal. I gave this book an overwhelming 5 stars. I'm going to keep my review incredibly short of this because I just, for the first time since October 2021, did a spoiler-free and spoiler-dedicated book review, and that review was of this book. So I've spoken a lot about this, and I don't know when that's coming out. It'll come out at some point, but yeah, just hold out for that because I have a lot to say. The basic premise of this book is that if you've read book 1 in the Twilight Saga series, Twilight, in that book we follow Bella Swan. In that book, Bella Swan meets a guy by the name of Edward Cullen. In Midnight Sun, it is a Twilight retelling the exact same story from the perspective of Edward Cullen, and it's a lot longer. This book is 756 pages long, which makes it a tome and a half, but my goodness, was it worth it. I just really had a blast reading this book. All of the questions that I had were answered. Everything was just so much fun. Yeah, unfortunately, one thing I do know is that Stephanie Meyer has said she's not going to do a retelling of New Moon, Eclipse, and Breaking Dawn. But I understand why. It's really hard for Stephanie Meyer to write Edward's perspective because it's very emotionally draining for her. So fair enough. It's disappointing because I would love to read the next book in the retelling. I want to read New Moon from Edward's perspective. You can do this. There is a 4-page document, which is not even a pamphlet. It's like a little tiny snippet of something that happens in New Moon, but I would love to read New Moon from Edward's perspective. I wish Stephanie Meyer could have written that, but I will respect her decision. But on the whole, for Midnight Sun, I absolutely loved this book and did not have one single complaint. An overwhelming 5 stars from me. Alright, so let's go back through and look at what I have been reading since the 19th of November 2023, which was a long time ago. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I've done my November and December monthly wraps, so you got a bit of an idea of thoughts and feelings. So I'll just go through the books that I've read since the 19th of November through to the 6th of January, and I will just tell you what they are in the star rating, and then if I have something else I just want to quickly say, like a side note, I will, but otherwise I'm just quickly going through what they were. So I read Bored to Death by C.J. Connor and gave that 2 stars. I read Forest, Fishing and Forgery by Tonya Kappas, gave it 3 stars. Christmas Criminals and Campers by Tonya Kappas, and I gave that an overwhelming 5 stars. 2389 by Ian Rob Wright, I gave 3 stars. Stuart Little by E.B. White, I gave 3 stars. Caught in the Act by Courtney Act was my first. I thought it was my first read in December. No, I started it in November and I finished it in December. Okay, there you go. And I love that book. I gave it 4 or 4.5 stars, one of the two, but I did love it. And then in December, I primarily reread the Harry Potter series. I did not get to Deathly Hallows, but I did read Or Cursed Child. But I did read all of the others, and I had an amazing time. I was Harry Potter obsessed in December. I ran out of time prior to getting to Deathly Hallows. I was going to, in order to squeeze it in, let's say this in a spoiler-free way. A non-protagonist gets married. I was going to read from the beginning up to the wedding, and the conclusion of the wedding, skip the rest till we get to Hogwarts, and then read everything that happened at Hogwarts in Deathly Hallows. But I didn't even have time to do that. So sadly, I missed out on Deathly Hallows, but there you go. I read every other book and just had an absolute blast. And it all started with Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, book number 1, the UK edition being Philosopher's Stone, the US edition being Sorcerer's Stone. And yeah, there is so much nostalgia wrapped up in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone for me. And I just, had a fun ride going through that first book. Then I enjoyed Chamber of Secrets, and then I loved reading Prisoner of Azkaban, because I love Prisoner of Azkaban anyway. It's one of my absolute top 3 standouts in the series. And just enjoyed the series overall as a whole. Order of the Phoenix took me the longest to read because it is the longest book in the series, but so much happens that it's not a bad book. It's just a long book because there's a lot to get through. Goblet of Fire, I really still to this day do not like the film and need to have words with Mike Newell. The book is incredible. And then Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I always gave Harry Potter and the I gave every book in the Harry Potter series except for Half-Blood Prince always 5 stars. Half-Blood Prince always got 4 stars from me because we have a character that we learn a lot more about their life in that book, and I don't like that stuff. But in this last reread, I did like most of that stuff. There is a part that we learn of this character's past that involves a character by the name of Hepzibah Smith that I absolutely love and had to raise the rating for that. And every subsequent thing we learn about this character's past in Half-Blood Prince that's not the first thing, where we deal with the Gaunt situation, I don't like that. It's not that I hate it, but I just find it boring. But every other subsequent thing we learn, like Hepzibah Smith, the introduction of this character to our world, what they want to do once they've graduated school, well, I found interesting. All these things really interesting, except for this one part of their past. The very first thing we learn about their past in this book, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, really bores me. But the rest, fantastic. Upgraded my rating from 4 to 4.5. Just some honorable mentions here of books that weren't Harry Potter that I read that I haven't mentioned. New Adult by Timothy Janowski got 5 stars. Really love that. It involves the going back in time trope, and I love that. So if you love that idea and would like to see it explored in a male romance, I highly recommend it. Death of a Wicked Witch by Leanne Hollis is the 13th book in the Hayley Powell Food and Cocktail Mystery series. Wasn't my favourite. Probably one of my least favourite of the series. I love the cozy side, but the mystery just did not appeal to me at all. But that doesn't mean I'm stopping with the series, because I am way too far in. I'm way too dedicated. I love the series overall. Jack Frost by Debbie Maycomber. I want to read a Debbie Maycomber book. That's only 62 or 65 pages long, that particular book is. And I felt that impacted my rating. I ended up giving it 4 stars because I wish it was longer. But for what it was, for the length it was a cute read. And Stalking Around the Christmas Tree, book number 4 in the Christmas Tree Farm mystery series, I absolutely loved. Finally read it, but was purposefully waiting for it to be around Christmas time before I read it. So there you go. Lots to talk about, but you can get your fill by watching those 2 monthly wraps where I talk about each book and spend more time on them. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you all about viewing. Because, my goodness, have I watched a lot of different things. I mean, it's, been over a month and a half, so undoubtedly I would have watched a lot of different things. So, in no particular order, I completed the entire series of Switched at Birth, and oh my goodness, was it a sad moment for me. I felt very lost after I was done with Switched at Birth. I sat there thinking, well, what the heck am I going to watch now? So that's how much I love that show. We followed these 2 protagonists, Bae Kenish and Daphne Vasquez, in the very beginning of the pilot episode. Bae Kenish, who is being raised by a very rich family, sees some major differences between herself and her parents, in as far as not only her personality, but also genetically and as far as her appearance and things like that. So ultimately she ends up getting a DNA test done, and they find out that Bay was switched at birth, and so her parents, John and Catherine, ended up taking home the wrong baby. So they end up tracking down the baby that was meant to be theirs, whose name is Daphne Vasquez. And they meet the woman who gave birth to Babe but ended up, because of the switch, taking Daphne home, Regina Vasquez. What we find out, aside from the switch, which becomes a really big deal, which is because, as I said, Bay Kennish is raised by a very rich family. Her father, John Kennish, was a huge baseball athlete, so he made lots and lots of money. They're very, Upper East Side, very rich people. Whereas Daphne's was raised in East Riverside, I think is what the name is. Don't quote me. But it has like a downtown feel. Daphne and Regina end up staying in the guest house of the Kennishes so that everyone can get to know each other. And so a part of the show revolves around getting to know each other and becoming a big extended family because of this switch and having been introduced to each other at last. But another big part of the show, and the reason why I love it, because why I love it is not because of the switch, actually, even though it's called Switch to Birth, is that Daphne, I think when she turned 3, she ended up getting meningitis, and because of this, she ended up becoming deaf. And so a lot of this show focuses on the deaf community. So yeah, it's wonderful. And I you learn a lot of like sign language and stuff. It's not that they're out now teaching you, but it's implied because they communicate with sign language, and what they are signing is written in closed captioning on the screen, so you kind of match the words to the sign, and before you know it, a lot of people just get motivated to learn ASL, and I absolutely do every time I watch this series. And then I have people asking me, but you live in Australia, why are you learning American Sign Language? And honestly, I love American Sign Language anyway. Let that go. I finished Switch to Birth. Loved it, got lost, didn't know what to watch next. I did find something in the end, I'll tell you what that is in a moment. But let's see what else is going on. I finished The Amazing Race. I had watched the first 3 episodes when we last spoke of season 35. And yeah, I liked it, so I wanted to keep watching. I had teams that I loved. I'm trying to remember their names, and I really can't remember their names, so it doesn't matter. I'm just going to describe them to you. We have these Asian brothers, don't remember their names, but loved them. We had the gay couple, but my favorite team, unsurprisingly, was the team that I call the CODA team. CODA is an acronym that stands for Child of Deaf Adult. It was a father-son situation. The father is deaf, the son is not, hence he is a child of a deaf adult, a CODA. And I loved my CODA team so much and really enjoyed watching them, and yeah, had a lot of fun. No update on Keeping Up Appearances. I just haven't really been in the mood to watch it, which I know, shock horror. I love Hyacinth Bouquet. Lady of the house speaking. It's not my sister Violet with room for a sauna and a pony. If you have not seen Keeping Up Appearances, do yourself a favour. After you've listened to this video, go ahead and type in the words Keeping Up Appearances on YouTube and just watch a clip of Hyacinth Bouquet. Dame Patricia Routledge is hilarious. I don't watch a lot of English shows, that is, shows that were filmed in England. I don't watch a lot of English shows, but let alone English comedy. But my goodness, I love Dame Patricia Routledge as Hyacinth Bouquet. Or even though it's technically Bucket, but whenever anyone says Mrs. Bucket to her, she closes her eyes as if praying for patience and says, it's pronounced bouquet. But anyway, I just, haven't been in the mood for it. So I will get to it at some point. But same with Murder, She Wrote. I'm currently up to season 5, episode 5, and haven't watched any lately. So there you go. So what did I end up watching once I was done? On the 1st of January, 2024, I picked up Midnight Sun and was really enjoying myself and thought, oh my gosh, I'm in the mood for something that I haven't been in the mood for a long, long time, but I can get very much in the mood for this particular type of theme in any form of media, be it a show, a movie, a book, whatever. And that is, don't laugh, even though I'm laughing at myself, absolutely I am, vampires. I love the whole vampire lore, myth, whatever thing so much. I didn't necessarily love Buffy, I have to say, but in saying that, Buffy fans, I loved Angel, the show, because I loved Angel, the character. So I did love Angel, I just didn't necessarily love Buffy. I thought it was okay, but I love the whole vampire thing, and I considered whether or not to rewatch the Twilight movies, and then I remembered I don't really love the Twilight movies. So, I love the Twilight books, and the movies are okay, but I don't love them. So I just thought, no, look, no, that's not what I want to do. So what can I watch? And I thought maybe I could watch some Dante's Cove, which is kind of like a gay vampire soap opera is the best way to describe it. Look it up, Dante's Cove. And I thought, yeah, no, I'm really on the mood for that. I want something like very dark vampire-y, not very comedy vampire-y. And then I thought maybe I should watch Vampire Diaries. And so I remembered watching, I think, like the first 3 episodes of a season, and then just didn't watch anymore. And this was a long time ago, and I thought, well, it's Vampire Diaries, it's a show about vampires, let's watch. And I'd remembered that, well, obviously there will be vampires in it because of the title, Vampire Diaries, but I remembered aside from vampires that there was a witch in the show as well, but that's all I really remembered about it. But I have seen every single episode of Legacies, and I love Legacies so much. If you haven't seen Legacies is like the future of Vampire Diaries. Then I highly recommend it. If you love Vampire Diaries, watch Legacies. It is fantastic. It is set at a school. My favorite trope in the magical world is something that's set at a school. Is there any wonder I love Harry Potter? Anyway, and in Legacies we deal with, at the school, vampires, witches, and werewolves. So we have all 3 at the school, which is fantastic. I love it. But anyway, decided to give Vampire Diaries a go. And at the time of recording, I have watched the first 16 episodes of season 1, because whenever I have time to watch something, I don't want to watch anything else. I am obsessed with this show now. It is so good. The only thing I question, if you've watched this show, tell me if you thought the same thing. The only thing I question so far with season 1 is, how many deaths occur by the time we get to the end of season 1? I feel like every episode opens up with a death and closes with a death. So it's like, and then there's deaths that occur in the middle of the episode. Like, how many people died in season 1? Seriously. But I'm absolutely loving it. Obviously there's the whole, saying, as though you watched the show. But if you haven't watched the show, then there are 2 main vampire characters who are brothers. Their names are Stefan and Damon. And because of this, just like with Twilight, there's the whole team thing that goes on, because everyone needs to split people and be on one side or another of whatever, like Team Edward, Team Jacob, Team Slytherin, Team Gryffindor, even though I'm a Team Ravenclaw, but we'll let that go, because, wit beyond measure is mum's greatest treasure. Definitely a Ravenclaw here. But anyway, so there's definitely the whole Team Stefan, Team Damon thing going on, because they're very different. Stefan, in a nutshell, is more of your vampire who tries to do what the Cullens do, vegetarian vampire, nice vampire, where Damon is the full-on dark vampire, at least in season 1. I don't know if things change moving forward, but he's, Damon's attitude is, I'm a vampire, so I'm gonna live, they're the undead, but you know what I'm saying. I'm gonna live my life as a vampire, so I'm gonna do whatever, no rules applying to me, I'm a vampire, I'm gonna make the most of it. Where Stefan is a vampire that respects to humans. So, it's like team good, team evil with these brothers, but there's so much more to it. Like, I thought that the whole arc of season 1 was gonna be Damon versus Stefan, and Damon versus Stefan is part of the arc of season 1, but there is so much that There are massive things that occur throughout each and every episode, starting with episode 1, that it really puts a lot of other fantasy series I've seen to shame, where you lead up to this one big thing at the final episode of a season. In Vampire Diaries, it's like the one big thing is the one big thing of the episode. So I have no idea what the final climax will be of season 1 of Vampire Diaries, because there's been a huge final climax for every single episode in Vampire Diaries, more than any other show I've seen. We find out there's a big thing that's meant to happen in an episode, and we deal with that big thing in that episode because we have to, because the next episode is going to be another huge big thing that happens in the next episode. I am hooked, if you can't tell. I'm hooked on this show right now. So if you want to join me in binging this, I am, come on over and join the Discord and message me, and I'll let you know where I'm up to, because I want to talk Vampire Diaries with you all right now. There's so many things I'd like to talk about, but I don't want to spoil it for anyone, and I don't want to talk about it too much longer for those of you who have seen it too many times and you're sick of the show. So, but I'm loving it. I'm having a blast with it. All right, let's take a look moving forward at what I'm planning on reading. Oh my gosh, which means I do need to bring that up as well. What I'm planning to read moving forward. So now I finished Midnight Sun today. Have not picked up anything else yet since, but I have my entire first 11 months of the year planned out, so I know what I'm reading. The next book I'm reading is this book, Roast Mortem. Book number 9 in the Coffee House Mystery series. I don't have this book. I ordered this book on Amazon a month and a half ago. It is late by 2 weeks, and I ended up requesting a refund and went with a different retailer. So I ended up going through Amazon, via Amazon through a third party. And the second time that I ordered it, more recently, I ordered this book through Amazon Australia, via Amazon Australia, through Amazon USA directly. So I should have it here in about a week, that new one that I ordered. Unlike the other one that month and a half later, I still don't have the book. But anyway, I'm listening to it on audiobook, so I'll deal with it. That's fine. And once I finish that book, I'm going to pick up the next book in the series, book 10, which is Murder by Mocha by Cleo Coyle. So that should get me through this upcoming week. And there you go. There's a catch up. Just quickly, a life catch up. Nothing really much to say. I did the usual that I do around the Christmas time. We went to church with my grandparents, my grandmother and grandfather, who are both Dutch, my mother's parents. My grandmother is not doing really well. She has been dealing with dementia for the past couple of years. It's really, really sad. I don't want to, go too much into it, but it's been really tough. And we think this is going to be this 2023 was the last year of going to church with her. And so there are things going on over there that are really sad at the moment. But anyway, glad that I got to go there and purposefully sat next to my grandmother at the church, as I do every year, because I want to hold that memory. And she was handing out A+ to everyone, which was just lovely. I don't know, it became her thing that everyone would get an A. She would say the words A+ to everyone if they did something good. And I got so many A+, I might as well have been valedictorian. And to me, my grandmother, who in Dutch we call her Oma, so that's why I'm thinking, going, hang on, how do you say it in English? So grandmother in Dutch is Oma. I'm going to call her Oma now. My Oma is my valedictorian. I have a lot of love for my Oma. So yeah. Anyway, there was that. At least I got to experience that. Stayed overnight at my mother's on Christmas Eve. We watched Carols by Candlelight like we do every year. Australia's Carols by Candlelight, presented on Channel 9, is always a blast, but this year it wasn't. There was a protest that occurred and some people actually jumped up on the stage. Feel free to look that up. Australia's Carols by Candlelight protest. I missed the protest though, because we got back to my mother's place after the church happened, because it's shown on Christmas Eve. We got back to my mother's place maybe 5 minutes after the protest had been dealt with, and everything just seemed a bit off and we couldn't tell why. And obviously they're not going to go back and say, well, again, folks, apologies for the fact that everything's a bit off, but remember we had a protest. Of course they didn't say that. And then, found out the next day, there was a protest that happened. People actually went on stage and it was a bit, Anyway, Was what it was. You can check that out if you want to, and if not, that happened. Stayed overnight at my mum's. Next day for Christmas, from my mother, I got the Complete Famous 5 box set by Enid Blyton. 21 books. I'm so excited. They're on my SAS list. I can't wait to read all of them. And then we went to my dad's. My mum and dad have been divorced for quite some time, but they are very harmonious with each other. So my mum came along to my dad's Christmas lunch thing with me and my sister, and that was great having her there. And then, yeah, we went back to my dad's place and opened some gifts and whatever, and then we ended up taking my mum home afterwards, and yeah, it was a good time. So that was good. Alright, yeah, that's an update. We'll have more to say in the next one. Alright, everyone, I hope you had a fantastic Christmas, and if you don't celebrate Christmas, or if you celebrate something else, I hope you enjoyed your time during the festive season. I hope you had a wonderful New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, and I'm going to let you all go. Peace, blessings, and so much love. Please do be kind and love one another, and spread your sparkling energy all throughout the world, and until next time, happy reading! Bye, everyone!